All right, welcome in. It's the All Access Football Daily Show with your host, Ric Serritella, broadcasting live from the world famous All Access Football Studios here on this Monday, September 1st, 2025. Happy Labor Day, everybody. It's the start of a new era here at All Access Football. So excited to be with you here each and every day, 10 a.m. Buckle up. It's your home for real football talk, and we're going to get right into it because this college football weekend slate was locked and loaded. And I don't care if you're a college football fan, an NFL fan, an NFL draft fan. We're going to talk about the NFL signal callers of tomorrow because what a slate. I mean, we got the Tiger style clash of Clemson versus LSU, Nussmeier versus Klubnik. We had Arch Manning making his debut against the Ohio State Buckeyes. I'm sure we'll have lots of talking points about that young man. And we're going to go around the horn here. We'll get into a little bit more of who we are and what we do later on in the show. But if we're going to be your home for real football talk, let's dive right into it. And I mentioned Garrett Nussmeier, the LSU Tigers quarterback, to me, clearly was the top quarterback performer from this past weekend. Very quick decision maker, the ball velocity flying out of his hands. 28 of 38, 230 yards passing. I'll tell you what, that 73-yard game-winning drive he orchestrated just goes to show you the poise. He's cool as a cucumber. He's the son of not only a coach, but a former NFL quarterback, and Doug Nussmeier, who the New Orleans Saints, let's be honest, could be picking number one overall. And we'll talk about who that number one overall pick will possibly be. But you know what? I saw a lot of overreaction on the online social media, Twitterverse, and all that. We're not going to overreact. We're not going to underreact. We're going to keep it even keel, but just give you our assessments of what we saw here in the first week of action. And I'll tell you what, the most impressive throw that I saw from Nussmeier might have been the touchdown to Barry Brown that got called back due to a bad officiating replay call. But I mean, he dropped it in the bucket right on the dime, only where his wide receiver could catch the ball. I thought it was a catch. It was very close. You could state a case either way. They took the touchdown off the board, but he has now positioned himself, I believe, not only to be the Heisman Trophy frontrunner, possibly the number one overall pick, and he now needs 3,343 yards to become the LSU Tigers all-time leading passer, held by Tommy Hudson. Also very impressive, the prestige number 18 that the LSU Tigers hand out. Well, he's the first quarterback to be issued number 18 and wear that number since Matty Mock back in 2003. I think Jacob Hester was his backfield mate during that time. And I'll tell you what, Garrett Nussmeier, to me, really impressive. The other quarterback on the other side, Cade Klubnik, not so much. I felt like coming into the year, the mainstream media was a lot higher than the actual scouting community when it came to Klubnik's draft stock. And, he's rehabbed his image. He's put on some weight. He's become a more mature leader from what we understand. Just talking to some of the coaches there, they will tell you there's a renowned focus. Now, he's been a little bit goofy in the past. He's kind of got a bubbly personality, but he's going to have to put his big boy pants on because if he wants to compete with some of these top contenders that we're seeing, I'll tell you, I thought Clemson was the real deal. This team is loaded. They've got talent all around. Antonio Williams, big-time playmaker, defensive studs. Dabo Swinney did a great job re-recruiting the players, keeping them in-house. But we didn't see that prevail against LSU. And you got to say, LSU has positioned themselves very, very nicely in the rankings. They're going to have a great path into the college football playoffs. Clearly, they're one of the top teams to beat. And Clemson, we're not going to count them out after one game, but now they're going to be in the hole, looking to make up ground. And Klubnik, he was dealing with that rumor online earlier this week about him being involved in a very serious automobile crash. That turned out to be just not true. But you could tell from his press conference earlier in the week, it rattled him a little bit. It shook his family. He said his mom was calling him in tears. But at the end of the day, Cade, you gotta just put the blinders on and be able to focus out there. You saw balls being overthrown, sailing over the receiver's head. Now he did make some good throws on the move, showing up the ability to extend plays. But man, there's a lot of work to be done. I think you saw the separation there between Nussmeier and Klubnik right now. I mean, maybe day 2, I'd have him in the day 3 range based on what I saw yesterday. There's a lot of ground to be had there for Cade Klubnik out of Clemson. Okay. Now, we did post the Scout Notebook this morning over at the allaccessfootball.com website. If you want to follow along, get all of our in-depth analysis. We've broken down the top 6 quarterbacks, 7 really, that were in action on our big board, and we're going to go through them here on the show. But we also highlighted some of the top performers from the weekend that was. We're going to get into that a little bit later in the show. Some guys popping onto the NFL radar. We'll also have a TCU at North Carolina preview later on in the show. The Chapel Bill era. Okay, I had a chance to go down to Chapel Hill during my training camp tour and see Bill Belichick up close in person. We're going to talk about what I saw, what it means. I got a glimpse into the future of college football, and I'll explain that later on in the show. We've also got some housekeeping notes over the weekend that you may not have seen, and we delve into everything football here, right? It's your home for real football talk, whether it be the NFL, the CFL, the UFL, the NFL draft, the indoor leagues, the alternate football leagues. But today we're focusing on the NFL draft. We're going to touch all genres throughout the show. Later on, we'll also talk about the locked and loaded guest lineup that we have for you throughout the week. Some of the usual suspects from our old show, some new guests making their debut this week. We're excited to bring it to you. And by the way, it's brought to you by Talking Sopranos. I will drop the link here during the commercial break. If you want to go see Talking Sopranos in Chicago, they'll be there this Saturday, as a matter of fact. My guy Michael Imperioli, Steve Sherpa, they're going to be conversations talking about the Sopranos show. It's a very intimate experience. My guy has got the hookup. If you want the VIP access, email sopranosbookingagent@gmail.com, sopranosbookingagent@gmail.com. We'll get more into that as the show rolls on. But we're talking quarterbacks. We just broke down the Clash of the Tigers, LSU, and Clemson, right? And so the most anticipated quarterback debut, though, was Arch Manning, the Texas Longhorns quarterback who was hyped up by yours truly, including yourself. And listen, again, we're not going to overreact over one game, but Arch, he just looked like a deer in headlights throughout the whole game. You were waiting, and it just never materialized. And, was it nerves? Were there jitterbugs? I'm sure there were. I mean, 107,000 packed Buckeyes fans screaming at you. You could tell he looked unnerved. He looked rattled. Never got into a rhythm. Some throws, even when he was protected. Texas had 4 new starters along that offensive line. But even when he was protected, it just wasn't there. And shout out to Matty Patricia, the Ohio State defensive coordinator, who just, I think, confused Arch Manning from the pre-snap disguises, showing blitz, then dropping back. It was a lot for Manning to dissect in his first start of the season. So, listen, there's nowhere to go but up for Arch Manning. And I would say in terms of potential and upside, he's still going to be number 1 in that category. But we've got to see it still. And we didn't see it there against Ohio State. What a test, a tall task for your first start there. And Ohio State defense, I mean, they showed why they're the defending champions, right? How about Sonny Styles on that Buckeyes defense? We mentioned him in the write-up this morning. He was flying around the field, big downfield thumper, a 235 linebacker who runs faster than most running backs. He was a problem. The entire Buckeyes defense was a problem. How about Jermaine Matthews? I thought the cornerback really announced himself to NFL scouts. Big interception, a bunch of tackles. they gave Arch Manning fits all day long. So Julian Sayin, the new starter for Ohio State, certainly outplayed Arch Manning there in that matchup. But that's going to be the toughest game that Arch Manning has really until they get to the college football playoffs. Now, look for Arch to rebound because they got a bunch of cupcakes lined up. The Texas Longhorns do. They got home games, 3 consecutive home games. In fact, San Jose State, UTEP, and Houston. So I'm looking for Arch Manning to rebound and in a very big way, leading into the October 4th showdown against Florida. We got a SEC showdown. 2 top signal callers again will meet on the October 4th matchup down there in Gainesville. DJ Lagway, okay, he's a candidate to be the first quarterback off the board for the 2027 NFL draft. So Arch Manning will go up against him in about a month or so to try to recoup the opinions of draft evaluators such as myself. But listen, I'm not going to hit the panic button. This kid, has all the tools, the prototype frame, can make all, I mean, there's a lot of criticism out there about the NIL and transfer portal, but how about him biding his time, knowing he was going to be a backup? Sure, Texas paid him $2 million last year to be a backup. Do you think he could not have gotten more on the open market if he wanted to go and enter the transfer portal? Absolutely. But he bided his time. He waited patiently. They handed the keys to the Cadillac over to him. Just don't crash it, Arch, okay? Because you're steering off the road here. Not exactly what we wanted to see. His first completion, in fact, beyond 10 yards did not even come until the 4th quarter. So we'll see if the confidence grows, the ability to read those defenses develops. But I'm not going to press the panic button on Arch Manning just yet. Okay, we'll talk about where these guys fall and how we rank them. But let's talk about another quarterback who I thought was extremely disappointing, Nico over at UCLA. Nico left Tennessee this past offseason. There was a lot of controversy. It was over the NIL payouts. And, this is a guy, I just don't know if he gets it. Okay. And you wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt coming into the season. I remember watching the Tennessee wideout Dante Thornton on film last year, and just some of these deep balls that Nico was launching, they were about as beautiful and picture perfect as they can be. So he throws a phenomenal deep ball when he's on. But man, what we witnessed against the Utah beatdown, 43-10, this game was never close. Nico was sacked 4 times, completed just 50% of his passes, the worst of his career. I mean, just poor reads, inaccurate throws. He failed to deliver. And I think this is a crossroads moment for Nico to look in the mirror, because when you're worried about having all your family and friends at the game, he had 30 members of his family in attendance to witness that massacre. Maybe you should just worry about winning football games, Nico. All right. How about we do that? And then worry about all the off the field stuff, because if you take care of your business on the field, your business off the field will fall into place. Just go ask Arch Manning, who we just talked about. Now, again, October 4th, about a month from now, we will have a Nico Drew Alar showdown as UCLA will host the Penn State Nittany Lions. And Drew Alar, he looked pretty good. Now, it was against a inferior Nevada Wolfpack defense, but I think you got to like what you saw. 22 of 26 passing, 217 yards, 1 touchdown. I will say Penn State left some points on the board. They had some opportunities to put it in the end zone and wasn't able to convert. Now, he did hit the USC transfer Kyron Hudson for a touchdown. He also had a lot of new wrinkles on the offense here in my notes. I saw, Andy Koltzanicki, they talked about his comfort level second year in the offensive scheme. You saw pre-snap motions. You saw motion movement, which has been absent from the Nittany Lions offense. You also saw them go up tempo pace, and the personnel mixing and matching. The offensive line was rotating in and out. So, Penn State switched it up. But to me, coming into the season, the biggest concern surrounding Drew Allard to me was his lack of willingness to throw the ball downfield and test the defenses. And I thought he held back that Penn State offense a year ago because of that. So we'll see as the season wears on. Penn State again, I think is a legitimate national championship contender. Like, this is the year, right? Penn State is all in. Allard is all in. I heard them mention too on the broadcast, he's got one class this fall, one class. So, I mean, he's got nothing but time on his hands to stick his nose in the film room, prepare for opponents, and keep whooping that aspirin all over the field, because that's what he did to Nevada. So we're looking forward to that. By the way, he's now, I think him and Nussmeier are the odds-on favorite for both the Heisman Trophy and the NFL draft #1 overall pick, whatever that means here on September 1st. Take it with a grain of salt, but they are your front runners. And one guy who could be joining them, and somebody who I was really impressed with yesterday, Lenoris Sellers out of South Carolina. I mean, he came out like an untamed lion, just running like a bull through the traffic, and defenders bouncing off of him. Now, he did take a bunch of big hits in that game, but I think you saw the dual threat capability that has NFL scouts so excited about Lenoris Sellers. I mean, this kid is built like Cam Newton. He runs like him. He's a problem on the ground. I saw the 15-yard design quarterback draw there in the first quarter where he just busted up the middle of the defense, and it just continued all game long. Well into the fourth quarter, you could see him wearing down that Virginia Tech Hokies defense. And, he's going to thrive off of that RPO because of his running ability. But don't get it twisted. Like, you saw that 64-yard bomb with the cannon arm that he threw to Nick Harbor, who let's talk about that young man for a second. Nick Harbor is a condor with an incredible wingspan. He looks like a man amongst boys. He did have a drop early on in the game, but came back with big play after big play. He's a very raw route runner, but when you talk about just the massive frame, the vertical game, the strength and physicality of Nick Harbor, this young man looks like a first-round pick, in my opinion. So I was excited to see Harbor and Sellers connect. Now, these games, there's going to be a lot on the line as we get into October, because we mentioned October 4th. How about October 11th? South Carolina visits LSU. You think NFL scouts have that game circled on their calendar? Maybe just a little bit. All right. All right. One other quarterback I want to talk to before we take our first commercial break of the All Access Football Daily Show is Carson Beck. Last night we saw the Convicts versus Catholics rivalry renewed, and Miami had not beaten a top 10 opponent in about 8 years, I believe, and that opponent was Notre Dame. And Notre Dame, let's be honest, you could state a case, maybe the best defense in the nation. Penn State probably right up there with them. Ohio State pretty damn good too. But Beck almost, with that UCL injury, he almost became a forgotten man amongst this quarterback class. And I think one key stat that was overlooked last year was 36 drops by Georgia Bulldog wide receivers a year ago. 36, 10 of which by Arian Smith, who I believe was drafted by the New York Jets in the later rounds. But Arian Smith had 10 of those 36 drops. You didn't see any of that last night with this Miami Hurricane squad. Beck, back-to-back 75-yard scoring drives to close out the first half and then to begin the second half. It was just too much for the Fighting Irish. He drove the team downfield. He was very accurate, 20 of 31 passes, 205 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, more importantly, no turnovers. And you got to think now, like, after that victory over Notre Dame, you've got to put Miami in that championship conversation. I mean, this team looked very, very complete. They can compete with any team on any given Saturday, that's for sure. So Miami now, you got to throw their hat into the ring when it comes to the cream of the crop of the college football landscape. Okay. So we'll talk more about some prospects on the NFL radar, but that's the quarterback recap. Now, for whatever it's worth, for me, I'm still leaving Arch Manning as my top overall prospect and Garrett Nussmeier number 2. But I can't lie, like, gun to my head, if I had to start a team tomorrow, I'm taking Nussmeier all day. I still believe in the upside and potential of Manning. Remember, Nussmeier is a 3-year starter. Manning is a 3-game starter. So what will Manning look like should he come back and have another year after this season? His development could eventually surpass Nussmeier. But to me, it's close. I mean, Lenora Sellers, probably the second most pro-ready quarterback to step in. But I'll tell you what, I wouldn't be surprised, like, if Carson Beck winded up being the number 1 overall pick. It might sound ludicrous to you, but I'm telling you, there's a lot of love in the scouting community for the one Carson Beck. So to me, Nussmeier, Manning, Sellers, Beck, those guys separated themselves. Drew Allar, I'm going to wait and see. Let's see when the lights come on against real competition, what Drew Allar does. And Cade Klubnik and Nico over there at UCLA, they're looking more like day 3 developmental prospects at this point. So those are the 7 quarterbacks, top 7 quarterbacks on our big board coming into the 2025 season. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, we're going to get into the Chapel Bill era. We're going to get into some other prospects that caught our attention over the 5-day consecutive college football weekend, which wraps up tonight, 8 p.m. ESPN, TCU at North Carolina. We'll talk about it. We'll be about it right after this. Hey, RIC in the place to be. Ric Serritella for the world-famous All Access Football Report, read by 32 NFL teams, over 50,000 subscribers from 70 countries around the world. Checking in here from the legendary Jersey Shore, and you're tuned in to the All Access Football Daily Show. It's been a long working process. It's been 3 years since I've been on hiatus from a daily talk show. I've grown significantly, a lot of trial and tribulations during that span. The growth personally and maturity professionally is coming into your living room, raw, unfiltered, unapologetic, real football talk. Okay, I hope you're enjoying the content. If you're new to the show, welcome aboard. Buckle up. It's a can't stop, won't stop situation. We'll be with you every day, 7 days a week, Sunday through Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern. The football universe flows through my veins, and I'll tell you what, we've got a locked and loaded guest lineup here for you throughout the week, so don't go anywhere. Give us a visit over at allaccessfootball.com. We have a great promo sale going on for our listening audience. RIC VIP, you'll get a 30% discount off of allaccessfootball.com. You can follow the link in the chat room below. We love to get interactive with it. Drop us a line. Give us a shout. You got questions, we got answers. It's Ric Serritella, so you know who said it. Telling it like it is when it comes to the NFL draft and everything pigskin. Since 2002, it's our 24th season of independent coverage, and we welcome you aboard, everybody.
Bye.
We're working through the technical logistics here. Welcome back to the All Access Football Show with Ric Serritella, broadcasting live from the world famous All Access Football Studios here at the Jersey Shore. Thanks for tuning in. It's our first show, September 1st, 2025. Happy Labor Day to everybody out there. There's no days off here, though. There's nothing but labor. We've been up at it. We beat the sun up. We're going to go get our workout in over on the boardwalk right after the show. And again, it's all brought to you by Talking Sopranos. Sopranos are coming to Chicago this Saturday, September 6th. Michael Imperioli, Steve Sherpa at the Athenaeum Center, downtown Chicago. Email my guy, sopranosbookingagent@gmail.com, sopranosbookingagent@gmail.com. He's going to hook you up with the VIP exclusive. I dropped all the information here in the chat room wherever you may be listening, okay, whether that's on YouTube, X, Facebook. While you're here, do us a favor, smash that like button, hit subscribe for new show alerts. Tell a friend it's them again. We're back at it again, live 7 days a week, 10 a.m. Eastern. Oh, man, it's a can't stop, won't stop situation. Also, there's several ways for you to support the show. If you like the content, we always appreciate the love and support. Royal Retros, the king of throwback. They're your home for alternate football gear and memorabilia. Check out our promo code. You can save 10% there. We've also got an allaccessfootball.com promo link in the chat room. You could also use the promo code RICVIP. You're going to get a 30% discount on the All Access Football annual pass, okay? That's going to unlock the magic. It's going to give you our insider intel. We got the scout notebook every Monday during the regular season. Of course, the world famous All Access Football Report read by 32 NFL teams and 50,000 subscribers from 70 countries around the world. Drop us a line, by the way. Let us know what country you're listening from. And also the Draft Insider every Friday primes you for the matchups ahead. We're going to break it down, chop it up. And also members will also receive the NFL Draft Watch access as we publish the top draft eligible prospects for all the Power 4 programs. Okay, one of the benefits you get is verified measurements, which is always a bonus. We're going to talk about Delani Mansour, the cornerback out of LSU, listed at 6'1", came in at 5'11", but man, he looked really good. Came up with the interception there. So you get the verified measurements, you get our exclusive scouting reports, projections, background information. I mean, we've been doing this since 2002. It's the most in-depth, accurate draft intel you will find on the internet. I promise, guaranteed, or your money back. I'll refund you if you don't feel the same way. And while we're at it, we got some friends hooking us up for the first week of shows here. Our good friends over at Canadips hooked me up with some complimentary packs. All right, we've got the Rippers, 50 milligrams of CBD. If you like that kind of stuff, we got the Sleep Fuel Caramel Edition. Okay, we've got the Gold Fuel Mint Edition. So what we're going to do is give these away to anyone who subscribes during the show. If you go to allaccessfootball.com and you subscribe, we're going to send you a free pack of Canadips. I think they're about $30 a pack. So it's almost like two for the price of one. Also, here at the YouTube channel, we have a new membership feature. Okay, if you go yellow with the membership feature, we'll also send you a pack of Canadips today. The post office is right across the street here in Lavalette. I'll drop them in the mailbox right after the show. So lots of ways to support the show and also gain exclusive NFL draft content, because we are 239 days away from the 2026 NFL draft. Destination Pittsburgh. I got two eyes. One is always on the NFL draft. The other eye is on the football universe, which flows through my veins. And I'll tell you what, if you're new to the show, welcome aboard. If you're a longtime listener, then you already know we've been doing this a long time, but it's been 3 years since I've had my daily talk show. We're back at it again. We're back in the saddle. It feels great. It's been a long time coming. I'm excited to bring it all to you. And also, you can find our guest lineup over at allaccessfootball.com that I posted just yesterday or the day before. Tomorrow, we've got Thor Nystrom making his all access football debut. Thor Nystrom from Fantasy Life. If you're like me, you might have some last second fantasy football drafts this week. I'll be drafting. I've been in 2 leagues for over 20 years, almost 25 years. One is a dynasty league, the other is a redraft league. The redraft league is this Wednesday. So tomorrow on Tuesday, we're going to get Thor Nystrom from Fantasy Life, give us some fantasy football tidbits. But more importantly, if you follow Thor, then you know he's all tuned in to the NFL draft. He's a big fan. He's already breaking it down. So we're going to get some betting and draft analysis from Thor Nystrom, who does a great job over at fantasylife.com. Wednesday, we're going to have my guy, Howard Balzer. We're going to turn the leaf over to the NFL preview portion on Wednesday with our NFL crystal ball season predictions. And Balzer has over 4 decades of experience as an NFL national reporter. Of course, he's now there in Phoenix doing some stuff for the Cardinals Wire, but he's a Pro Football Hall of Fame voter. And really, in terms of knowledge and history, I'll put Howard up there with anybody who comes on the air. I would say him and Upton Bell are the 2 most knowledgeable people when it comes to the game, and we will have Upton on at some point as well. Moving over to Thursday, all right, if you tuned in to the football playbook, our most popular guest, Kayla Santiago, returns. And when the Philadelphia Eagles play, Kayla is our residential Eagles expert. She grew up in the area. Now she's a AP award-winning producer and sports director down at Delmarva Sports Network down there in the DC area. But she's going to pop in on Thursday, preview that Dallas Cowboys and Philadelphia Eagles NFL kickoff. And Friday, listen, we've got to have some familiar faces on the All Access Football Show. It wouldn't be right to do the first week and not have our good friend Neil Stratton, CEO of InsideTheLeague.com, publisher of Value Picks, Scout Speak, which you see right here in back of me, of course, moving the chains. InsideTheLeague.com really is the insider website when it comes to the agent and scouting community. He does a great job with the Friday wrap every Friday, which is free to your inbox. If you sign up at InsideTheLeague.com, we'll have Neil on this Friday to talk about what's going to be in the Friday wrap, the latest rumblings in the agent and scouting community. That's part of our Real Football Talk breakdowns, is kind of bringing you behind the scenes, peeling back the layers of the onion, making you understand the draft process as we get closer to the All-Star Game circuit in January. Of course, the NFL Scouting Combine, which is now at the end of February and bleeds in to early March, which then leads us to the Pro Day circuit. And of course, the NFL Draft, which is scheduled to be in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I did not forget Saturday. If you tuned in this past Saturday, we had the pop-up show with my guy, Russell Landy, former UCLA recruiter, LA Rams scout, Cleveland Browns scout, Montreal Alouettes director of scouting, Edmonton Elks scout. He brings a lot of experience, and we will break down. Russ Landy is locked in for every Saturday during the college football season. We're going to break down the top prospects, including that Oklahoma-Michigan matchup this Saturday. A lot of prospects that we're keeping our eye on there. And then Sunday, we have not yet announced a guest for this upcoming Sunday. I could be flying solo, but you're going to get NFL matchups around the league. We're going to go game by game. We're going to give you some tidbits, nuggets, predictions. So keep it locked, keep it loaded. We're going to touch all avenues: NFL, college football, NFL draft. We'll touch on some wagering. We even got fantasy football for you here to digest and consume on the All Access Football Daily Show. So again, if you're tuned in, smash that like button, Please like, share, subscribe for new show alerts. And it's a movement, everybody. We're excited about this. So let's talk about now some players who caught our attention over the weekend. All right. And, I'm here in Jersey, so I was tuned in. I'm going to take you back to the Friday Night Lights now. Rutgers escapes with a narrow win over Ohio. But more importantly, DT Sheffield. Who? What? DT Sheffield. I mean, this is a name you really need to know for that 2026 NFL draft. A little bit light, coming in at 5'7" and 6/8 inches. So just a hair under 5'8", 172 pounds, but the speed is evident. And he's a weapon. He's a returner. He's a gadget guy. You see him used on end arounds, start and stop, change of direction. This guy has got great twitch, and he can create space just due to the speed alone. You add in the special teams element to his draft stock. I gave him a Tez Johnson comparison, and Tez Johnson did go in the 7th round of the NFL draft, selected by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I tell you what, DT Sheffield is almost a spitting image of Tez Johnson. He now was all AAC first team a year ago at North Texas. Before that, he started at the JUCO ranks. He actually departed Northwest Mississippi Community College as the program's all-time leading receiver. So he's done it at the JUCO level. He's done it at the mid-major level. And now you're going to see him at the Power 4 level. And against that FBS opponent in Ohio, DT Sheffield could not be stopped. He could not be guarded. Okay. Now, Kaliakmanis, the quarterback there, has got to get him the ball. But, I mean, there should be a lot of pitch and catch and Piscataway featuring that DT Sheffield. So he certainly caught our attention on Friday. He was shot out of a cannon. And how about Jeremy Bernard from Alabama? The Crimson Tide, I got news for you. The kinks in the armor are starting to show. I'm not a believer in Kalen DeBoer. I think he is tearing down the dynasty that we knew once of the Alabama Crimson Tide. Nick Saban's not walking through the door to save them from the recruiting debacle that is Kalen DeBoer. He's been unable to keep the players in-house. He's been unable to attract top talent, but he does have Jeremy Bernard, who has a first-round grade, tremendous footwork, again, separation coming out of his breaks, tremendous instincts, finds the open seam against the zone. You put it all together, the ability to track the ball, the precise route running, the physicality for contested catches, picking up yards after the catch, the added luxury of returning kicks. I mean, Jeremy Bernard, there's going to be, Jordan Tyson is in the mix. And then Jeremy Bernard is going to be right there in that first round equation when it's all said and done. So despite the lackluster performance from Alabama, Bernard had a good game. He comes in at 6 foot and 6/8 inches, 209 pounds. Great size speed combination. And then one other guy I want to talk about is Earl Little out of Florida State. Again, the versatility, lines up in the nickel, in the slot, safety, in the box, downhill, plays through the whistle, showed tremendous pass coverage, fluidity in the hips, and high point in the ball, a ball hawk, can play man or zone. Keep a lookout for this Earl Little out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. He is rising up our draft board and catching our attention. So a few names that you need to know there from the weekend that was. Of course, you can go over to allaccessfootball.com, read up on our scout notebook, get caught up on all these quarterback analysis, find out the movers and shakers that we're monitoring as the season progresses. Now, if you're a fan of allaccessfootball.com, I was on my training camp tour this past August. One of my pit stops happened to be Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And I can't thank those guys enough for the access and allowing me to come and observe a practice where you might have heard or seen it, but Bill Belichick is really hands-on with the coaching down there in Chapel Hill. Shout out to my guy, Franz, who, despite 100 new players on this North Carolina Tar Heels team, the pro liaison, France, I mean, he couldn't be any more prepared information, backgrounds. We posted the North Carolina NFL Draft Watch up on the website. That's part of the All Access Football Annual. We have a slew of prospects, probably near 20 players on the North Carolina Tar Heel squad, scouting reports, measurements, background reports, everything you need to know. And before I get into some of the player breakdowns, I want to talk about this front office and coaching staff that Bill Belichick has assembled in North Carolina, because as I alluded to earlier in the show, I've witnessed the future of college football, and the future is now. We talk about transfer portals and NIL. I mentioned InsideTheLeague.com. I do a business of football report every Friday. This past Friday, I talked about the top influencers of NIL, and Michael Lombardi was on the list, the former Super Bowl champion general manager from the New England Patriots, who now holds that same job title for Bill Belichick in North Carolina. Maybe even more impressive, though, is this coaching staff, which is littered with like former head coaches. I was like, Natron Means is on the staff as the running back coach, but we're talking about former head coaches. Freddie Kitchens, the former Cleveland Browns head coach, is on the staff. Bob Diaco, the former UConn head coach, is also on the staff. How about my former boss, Chris Jones, the general manager and head coach of the Edmonton Elks, his last stint in the CFL, multiple Grey Cup champion winner there. We mentioned it. 40 transfer players, 30 new recruits incoming, over 100 players, according to France. Now, I don't know how they got to 100, if that's including the walk-ons, but he said over 100 new players who were not on that roster a year ago. So I'm fascinated for tonight's matchup for the Chapel Bill era. Like, how is this going to go down? You saw what Matty Patricia did to Arch Manning with his NFL scheme and disguises. I feel like Bill Belichick, man, is going to give TCU some fits here. And TCU comes into the game as 3.5 now point favorites. I think North Carolina might win the game outright. I really do. And this game has under on it all day. It was 55 yesterday, 54.5 this morning. I don't see a lot of points being put on the board by either team, and it's going to take some time for the chemistry to come together for this North Carolina Tar Heels team. They had a 3-man quarterback competition now when I was down there in training camp, which included Max Johnson. Okay. Max, big time pedigree. His father, Brad, was a Super Bowl champion quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's played for 6 different offensive coordinators, a former 4-star recruit. And, he had that scary injury last season where he nearly had to have his leg amputated. But he has maniacally rehabbed. The coaching staff tells me they had to kind of pump the brakes because he was so determined to get back. And it was interesting because Coach Belichick actually compared him to another former quarterback that he once had in New England who went on to become a coach, in Cliff Kingsbury. So Max Johnson, we'll see. I did not check if North Carolina has announced the starting quarterback as of yet. Knowing Bill Belichick, they probably have not. But Max Johnson was in a mix. They had a transfer quarterback come in. They had a freshman quarterback there on the roster. And so Max Johnson, 6'4.5", 222 pounds, out of Athens, Georgia. We will see how his season unfolds. He's a more traditional pocket passer, good arm strength, limited mobility, but as I alluded to, a very high football IQ, who's been groomed for the position, right? Coming up as the son of a Super Bowl champion quarterback. But I got to say, like, a lot of draftniks may believe that Marcus Allen, the cornerback, is the top rated prospect on North Carolina, but it's actually his counterpart in Thaddeus Dixon. So they have a great secondary, 2 corners who are going to be in the NFL. Dixon, of course, he came over with Steve Belichick from Washington State, 6 foot, 195 pounds. We got him estimated in the low 4.52 range. I think Dixon is a mid-range prospect. Marcus Allen, probably a late round prospect. But Dixon, high motor, contagious energy, high football IQ, very confident. And the coaching staff tells me like he basically came in and helped reset the culture. Leader from day one, sets the example. The younger teammates look to him for guidance. And this was a very, very player-friendly team under Mac Brown. Very lackadaisical in terms of off-field obligations, weight room work. There was a lot of work to be done behind the scenes from what you don't see. And, Belichick, he's got his eye on the future as well. He went into, the offices down there in Chapel Hill and said, listen, we need to be in the SEC. ACC just ain't cutting it, but we need better facilities. We need, more buildings on the campus. We need upgrades. So will North Carolina step up? They stepped up and delivered Belichick. Will they step up and deliver the facilities so they can eventually make that leap to the SEC? We shall see. A couple other players I want to touch base on. Price Yates, the edge rusher prospect, good looking player. Had the 6-pack, 8-pack going on, can bench 315, squats 475, a business finance major with a 3.6 GPA. Now he's coming off a sprained ACL in the spring, but he made a little bit of a noise when he departed UConn. Jim Mora, if you remember, came out publicly and called out North Carolina indirectly and said, we know who's tampering with our team and we're going to do something about it. Now, did Jim Mora ever do something about it? I don't know, because they didn't prevent Price Yates from transferring over. But those are probably the top draft eligible prospects that you need to know. A couple of other interesting guys, okay, that I want to talk about is, okay, Paul Barton, the tight end. Keep an eye on number 89. He is a crossover lacrosse player who, Belichick loves those lacrosse players. Just go ask Chris Hogan. Still learning the game. Great frame at 6'5", 218 pounds. Runs like Bambi. Gonna have to bulk up. Reliable pass catcher. His blocking remains a work in progress, but he's very strong. Squats 395, benches 315. His mom was a lacrosse player. Very mature. Checks off all the boxes, and of course, his father, Harris Barton, played for the San Francisco 49ers. When you talk about NFL bloodlines, Paul Barton, just a developmental, intriguing prospect to keep an eye on there. So my official prediction is going to be the North Carolina Tar Heels to win the game, gladly take the 3.5 points. And I think this is an underplay all day, under 54.5 points. That's 8 p.m. on ESPN tonight. All right. When we come back, I got the scouting notebook here. A couple of news and notes, some housekeeping to bring you up to speed with over the weekend. Some things that you may not have caught. We're going to bring that to you. Of course, it's all brought to you by Talking Sopranos. Make sure you email my guy, sopranosbookingagent@gmail.com, if you want the hookup this Saturday, September 6th, sopranosbookingagent@gmail.com. They're going to be at the Athenaeum Center, downtown Chicago. Michael Imperioli, Steve Sherpa. We're going to be promoting that all week long, so make sure you get your ticket. You can still get in where you fit in, and we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be back right after this. You're tuned in to the All Access Football Daily Show. Hey, RIC in the place to be. Ric Serritella for the world-famous All Access Football Report, read by 32 NFL teams around over 50,000 subscribers, countries around the world. Checking in here from the legendary Jersey Shore, and you're tuned in to the All Access Football Daily Show. It's been a long working process. It's been 3 years since I've been on hiatus from a daily talk show. I've grown significantly, a lot of trial and tribulations during that span. The growth personally and maturity professionally is coming into your living room, raw, unfiltered, unapologetic, real football talk, okay? I hope you're enjoying the content. If you're new to the show, welcome aboard, buckle up. It's a can't stop, won't stop situation. We'll be with you every day, 7 days a week, Sunday through Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern. The football universe flows through my veins, and I'll tell you what, we've got a locked and loaded guest lineup here for you throughout the week, so don't go anywhere. Give us a visit over at allaccessfootball.com. We have a great promo sale going on for our listening audience. RIC VIP, you'll get a 30% discount off of allaccessfootball.com. You can follow the link in the chat room below. We love to get interactive with it. Drop us a line. Give us a shout. You got questions, we got answers. It's Ric Serritella, so you know who said it. Telling it like it is when it comes to the NFL draft and everything pigskin. Since 2002, it's our 24th season of independent coverage, and we welcome you aboard, everybody.
She got it. Bye.
And we thank Oceana for that little introduction there. This is Ric Serritella. You're tuned in to the All Access Football Show. And welcome aboard. It's our first edition as I work through some of my technical logistics here. And that's what we do. We're a one-man show. We're not some big major media mainstream outlet. So if you want to help support the show, you can go over to allaccessfootball.com. You can visit our links in the chat room. We also have the Canadips special going on. If you subscribe to All Access Football, we're going to drop a pack of Canadips in the mail to you. And you can also be a subscriber to the YouTube channel. So we appreciate the love and support. Hopefully you're enjoying the show. Our first episode, I promise you, we're only going to get better from here on out. Top of the show, we talked QB watch, all the top prospects, our top 7 signal callers who could potentially land in the first round of the 2026 NFL draft. We took a quick commercial break. We came back and talked about some of the prospects who popped onto that NFL draft radar over the extended Labor Day weekend. Happy Labor Day, by the way, to all the listeners out there. And now we're going to dive into some housekeeping notes over the weekend, some things that you may or may not have seen. And we'll stick with the college football theme for the first tidbit because the new chief Seminole in town, Thomas Castellano, the Boston College transfer, he exposed, I mentioned that Alabama's dynasty is crumbling. Thomas Castellano exposed that Alabama defense. He ran through them, around them. He really is Kyler Murray minus the arm. And he's going to be a problem. Like Florida State now, looking to bounce back. They're going to get some momentum too, because over the weekend they also received a commit from Jonah Winston, a legacy commitment. The younger brother of Heisman Trophy winner Jameis Winston, the current New York Giants quarterback. By the way, New and Blue, a New York Giants podcast, will air live later today at 7 p.m. with my co-host Dan Orlando. Make sure you stay tuned for that. But Jonah Winston committed as an athlete, so not necessarily a quarterback. They're going to find out a position for him. But Florida State, big weekend for the Seminoles. Okay. Also, a big weekend for Deron Bland. How about that young man, a former 5th-round pick who we had over at the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl during my time as a scout with the NFLPA Bowl. Deron Bland out of Fresno State. He did all week in practice out in Pasadena at the Rose Bowl in front of all the NFL scouts. The same thing he did when he came into the league. He had 9 interceptions in 2023, including 5 of them returned for touchdowns. He had 5 interceptions in 2022 as a rookie, and he got rewarded over the weekend with a new contract extension worth $92 million, a 4-year contract extension worth $92 million, including $22 million signing bonus and $50 million guaranteed. That's what you want out of your 5th round pick. Draft, develop, and keep in-house. And so the Cowboys got one contract extension done. It wasn't Micah Parsons, but they did retain Deron Bland, in case you missed it over the weekend. Of course, Wednesday, Kayla Santiago, or Thursday, I should say. Is it Wednesday or Thursday to kick off? I've got my days confused. But Kayla will be on to preview that Cowboys-Eagles matchup. And then how about the UFL? I wanted to spend a quick minute on the United Football League, who last year in 2024, they've had 100 players signed over the last 2 off seasons. But only 2 of those players actually stuck to the 53-man roster a year ago. However, 18 players did get signed to NFL practice squads. Pretty good for the developmental feeder league that is the UFL, the merger between USFL and XFL. However, this year the numbers are down a little bit. Just 1 player from the UFL made a 53-man roster, and 10 of those guys winded up signing practice squad contracts. So a little bit of a down year for the UFL. I know they're going to be holding their rookie draft later this month, but you would like to see those numbers up a little bit more. I think, if anything, it speaks to the efficient job that NFL scouts are doing. Like we always say, got talent, we will find you, and the NFL scouts are doing a fantastic job of that. Of course, shout out to the NFL Draft Bible Scouting Department, who is working tirelessly to bring you that 2026 NFL Draft Bible published in April. It's part of the All Access Football Annual Pass that unlocks all of our insider intel throughout the year. You'll get access to the Draft Insider, the Scout Notebook, the world famous All Access Football Report, our NFL Draft Watch, and of course, the official 2026 NFL Draft Bible used by all 32 NFL teams. It's what we do since 2002, our 24th year of independent coverage. Now, that brings us to a wrap for our first edition of the All Access Football Daily Show. Again, please like, share, subscribe. We appreciate all the love and support. We'll be back at it again tomorrow with our guy, Thor Nystrom of fantasylife.com. He's going to break it down and chop it up with us. We'll talk NFL draft. We'll talk fantasy football draft. We'll talk maybe a little bit of wagering. So Thor Nystrom will be here on Tuesday. That will be September 2nd, 2025. For all of the listening audience around the universe, for Ric Serritella of allaccessfootball.com, this is your home for real football talk, and we'll see you tomorrow, everybody. Hey, RIC in the place to be. Ric Serritella for the world-famous All Access Football Report, read by 32 NFL teams, over 50,000 subscribers from 70 countries around the world. Checking in here from the legendary Jersey Shore, and you're tuned in to the All Access Football Daily Show. It's been a long working process. It's been 3 years since I've been on hiatus from a daily talk show. I've grown significantly, a lot of trial and tribulations during that span. The growth personally and maturity professionally is coming into your living room, raw, unfiltered, unapologetic, real football talk, okay? I hope you're enjoying the content. If you're new to the show, welcome aboard, buckle up. It's a can't stop, won't stop situation. We'll be with you every day, 7 days a week, Sunday through Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern. The football universe flows through my veins, and I'll tell you what, we've got a locked and loaded guest lineup here for you throughout the week, so don't go anywhere. Give us a visit over at allaccessfootball.com. We have a great promo sale going on for our listening audience. RIC VIP, you'll get a 30% discount off of allaccessfootball.com. You can follow the link in the chat room below. We love to get interactive with it. Drop us a line. Give us a shout. You got questions, we got answers. It's Ric Serritella, so you know who said it. Telling it like it is when it comes to the NFL draft and everything pigskin. Since 2002, it's our 24th season of independent coverage, and we welcome you aboard, everybody.
My dad has a message for you. You were watching All Access Football. That message is from me telling you, oh, she got it. Bye.